There is a place in my heart that has been too painful to mention, a known rule from home. It will moan to me as I speak to you in tones. On the edge of the threshold where the water is cursed, doors closed on the heads of the damned near immersed. In the swelter of the scene of the blister unburst, the chattel of fell design concealed glints of sunburst. Thrust their bodies into the abandon of would-be truths denied, abused, discarded, and decried, bound in the bloodthirsty roiling of a continental lie, saw their ancestors fly into the storm of their shuddering eyes, concealing the heat of ore, in rage-red smolder groaning in its warp. They kept the calm of resign and the passion of rebellion, giving nuclei to atomic creations, coaxing bone memory from Atlantic skeletons, the seat of the souls of nations, risen in the form of children born only to die. Living on in a brandished, blanched lie, we took on the heat of the cauldron of sear and hiss. We drink deeply now down to our bones, and by the dint in our wrists, turn the gestures of livelihood into signs of stylish diss. Smiling, with teeth made of enamel formed, and the molten armor of our ancestors' marrow, whose captive entanglement was chained to the vile, sonorant lie of a low origin in the burr brambles of mere moments upon moment upon moment upon moment, until it became time for us to realize that we are the stolen who found a home within open stride. In the rise of distant tides that call our eyes to dizzying rounds, that allow the scope and breadth for the drumming up of a calculated guess at what made the message we acknowledge with that fondness on our lips and caution in our fingertips. Each time another rebel bleeds hello, smiling through reddened teeth to keep hell beneath us, questioning its realness for the dignity of lurid, uttered curses, administered as curatives, pulled from the sticks we picked out of the onslaught, to remind us of the customs that made us save the world we've wrought under the tutelage of our mother's uterine nurture. Her voice is reverberating through the fluid purpose, turned to wind, as we raise our heads to the din of industry and the sordid contortion of our love of land. Her molten tones that consumed all of our bronzed arrogance and smelted our iron metal, to be folded into the alchemy of our older luster that cloaks our newer customs, until we clustered our complaints at the footsteps of our elders and wept for their remembrance. For we had grown to know what they had been told to name as golden, the solstice, the passage of seasons, and the landing of our feet from Ari drifts into the fume of cooling pits that keeps charcoal in the spring and fire in the winter, heat flung of a hearthstone that spits. So we could bask in the spark and fury of their back-raised, brazen, protective rage, chasing the minions of the masters of none over the cliffs of our gods, who eschew the words some of us now use for them, and reduce our slavering enemies to lovable earth, petrified in its birth. Nurtured by our thirst, we seek water, and curse what errs in our hearts, for calling the cold, stainless tap of the metronome of black our benefactor, drinking deeply of disaster to decipher its craft and unmake its math, even as it leaves us running over broken land, tongues uncracked. My proud heathen chest, my eyes, my yes man behest, less agreements than imperative pressure, my sachet in salute to the way my mother still walks defiantly past the tyrant screams built into the dreams of every immigrant's queen, of every common castle, built with uncommon hustle, lunging toward the affront of danger with billow and blaze that burn lasting warning into her children, who gather and rally to back down disaster at the sound of her grave. Deepening laughter that buried Babel to the rafters time and time again built this friend. So for my first friend, so I'll follow in her footsteps and track those of our people further back than the unholy steeple and the blasphemous flail. I'm a child of a war, a lover of raw strength worked into supple sound, the voices in the round that are guided by stars and ruled only by a broken conch that lost the wail of the ocean's want, that had crested its foam and froth over the wrath of our brutal crossing, that cannot softly sing another echo into the ears of the desperate bent over their own withdrawn affluence, starved for the sound of landing passage that will summon marrow to mourn in the birth of new words for known, that will have us all speak new words for home.